Good evening, class. My name is Katiana Mervelis. I'm here with my colleagues Christopher Boykin and Switzerland Parchment. We are a key representative from the Bulgaria Outsourcing Association. We love Bulgaria. Our goal today is to make you fall in love with the country as well and choose it for all of your outsourcing needs. I will begin with an overview of Bulgaria, and Chris in Switzerland will follow with Bulgaria outsourcing specialties, leading players, competitive strength and weakness, and ways Bulgaria has been recognized as a growing and leading player in the international community. Bulgaria gained its independence from the Ottoman Empire in 1908 and ended communism in 1990. The country continues to make headways by joining NATO in 2004 and the European Union in 2007. Sofia is the capital of Bulgaria and the main hub for IT outsourcing. Another location that is quickly growing in the ITO sector is Plovdiv. The official language is Bulgarian and lev is recognized as the main currency. To compare, 1.76 lev is equal to $1. Bulgaria is 6 hours ahead of Eastern Time or Florida, and the fiscal year is equal to the calendar year. Bulgaria has a parliamentary democracy with 28 provinces. Both the national government and local authorities support outsourcing to the country and foreign investments. The country has one of the lowest government debt to GDP, low inflation rate, and is the second lowest tax burden country in the European Union. The current unemployment rate is 10%. Bulgaria wages are lower than the other hubs in Western Europe and still will allow your suppliers to have a great quality of life. Bulgaria populations is over 7 million. I included the graph to visually depict Bulgaria working populations. I included adults from 15 to 64, which totals over 65% of the populations of Bulgaria. We will supply your company with outstanding human resources. The country has an already educated working populations with tens of thousands of graduates in the next few years. After reviewing our presentation, please post any questions, thoughts, or comments, and me, Chris, or Switzerland would gladly give you a reply. I now give you to Chris.
This is slide number 5. Thank you, Katiana, and welcome everyone. We're going to jump right into the 2015 status of ITO in Bulgaria. First of all, they won the Offshoring Destination of the Year from the European Outsourcing Association and the UK's National Outsourcing Association. So why is that significant? Well, the European Outsourcing Association was founded in 2004 as a federal body that consists of the UK, Austria, Netherlands, France, Belgium, Germany, Spain, and Italy. They champion effective business and outsourcing processes. The UK's National Outsourcing Association has been around for 29 years with a focus on best outsourcing practices. So you can see why it's significant to be recognized by both of those associations. They were ranked 9th in 2015 by the AT Kearney Global Services Location Index, moving up 8 places since 2011. So I'm sure that we all came across this in our research, but just in case you haven't, this is a study of 55 countries in 3 major categories: financial attractiveness, people skills and availability, and business environment. Clearly, Bulgaria excels in all 3 of those categories. Next, the country consistently ranks in the top 10 in the world in broadband quality and fastest internet speeds. So if you're asking why is that on the status page of ITO in Bulgaria, well, you need a quality infrastructure to support good communications between companies. And if a country doesn't have that type of infrastructure to support good communications, your outsourcing venture is not going to be successful. Lastly, they have a strong labor pool of ITs. They're first in the European Union and 3rd worldwide in IT certified specialists. This is slide number 6 that provides a list of ITO specialties provided in Bulgaria. We're not limited to this list. As you'll see in the next slide, there's many more, but these are some of the popular ones that came up during my research. First, we have computer-aided design, and next we have computer-aided manufacturing. CAD and CAM, what I thought was interesting was not only do they offer the software and some of the control systems and engineering systems, but they also can wrap it up in a neat package where they provide you training on how to use it or they can provide you training on how to develop the software. Next, we have Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, or ArcGIS, which we're all probably familiar with. They offer software, maps, and shapefiles for that. We have Business Management Software, Customer Relationship Management Technology, Firmware, e-business, business-to-business solutions. Lastly, C++ and Java. Now again, these aren't the only programming languages that they're proficient in. I also found that they were proficient in Objective-C, .NET, HTML, and many more. Those were just the ones that came up more frequently. This is slide number 7 with a list of the leading players of outsourcing in Bulgaria. First, we have the Bulgaria Outsourcing Association. They have a focus on streamlining outsourcing processes and providing outsourcing support to companies in Bulgaria. Then we have HP and IBM with their complete portfolios. Moving on down the list to BulgariPros, you see what they have to offer there. They also offer big data analytics, the Internet of Things, and some software collaboration tools. Then moving down the list to Bionor, they have a major B&E aerospace contract, which is the world's leading manufacturer of aircraft cabin interior products. Odds are, if you've ever been on a plane, you've seen something that they have been associated with. Then we have Digimart, DreamMix, and lastly Questers. And Questers was interesting because they have a direct management approach. They take care of HR, admin, infrastructure, security, social and employment aspects, so you can focus on your core activities at your business. And lastly, just a list of some of the customers that I'm sure you're familiar with: SAP Labs, Oracle, Xerox, Duracell, Boeing, BMW, Samsung. I just thought that it was very impressive that all of these companies recognize Bulgaria as a major outsourcing destination. This is slide number 8 with a list of competitive strengths for Bulgaria. They are a member of the European Union, NATO, and the World Trade Organization. This simply means they have some common laws and practices they have to follow. Also, being a member of the EU means that you have protection for intellectual property, protection from theft, and protection from fraud. We already discussed their well-developed education system. They have the lowest cost base in the EU related to labor, property costs, commercial rents, and industrial energy prices, a flat 10% corporate and personal income tax rate, and one of the lowest tax burdens on the labor costs in the EU. They also are going to be receiving $20 billion over the next 5 years from the European Union for regional development. Lastly, they have investment incentives for foreign and domestic investors to purchase land, provide state financing for basic infrastructure, and training for new staff. These are big pluses for your outsourcing venture. This is slide number 9. It lists one of the challenges or a concern that you may have if outsourcing to Bulgaria. It is a fact that they have a low English speaking percentage. However, 60% of the working population speaks a second language. If you take a look at the chart on your right, 24% of that is English, and that is a little low. However, if you look at the chart on the left, 80% of the university grads in 2015, 80% of 257,000 are choosing English as a second language, and those are the people that are going to move into that working population, and so those numbers are going to improve significantly. Also, another counter to that would be all of the companies that I listed before. Every single one of their websites is in English, and if you take a look at any one of those, you'll see that they offer services in many different languages. The most I saw was 30 different languages available from one of the providers in Bulgaria. So if your concern is speaking English, you don't have to worry about that. This is slide number 10 that lists another challenge or concern you may have with outsourcing in Bulgaria, which is a history of government corruption, including human trafficking and poor labor legislation. Currently, they rank 69 out of 175 countries, bringing them in just below the 40th percentile. As I mentioned before, they're a member of the EU, which not only enforces them to follow certain practices and gives you certain protections, but it also gives the government less control over their business processes. And the EU will actually do periodic inspections of the companies to make sure they're following those practices. In 2015, The State Agency for National Security, the Ministry of the Interior, and the Independent Prosecution Service, all key players in fighting government corruption, launched a joint task force which would target high-level public and judicial corruption. Now, this is part of that $20 billion that I discussed before that's being distributed over the next 6 years for improvements. It's stimulating things like this for government improvement. But the reason it's distributed over that amount of time is if the government's not making the improvements, then the country doesn't receive all the money. Lastly, in 2015, the State Department for the U.S. considered Bulgaria a stable U.S. ally. Why is that important? Well, the Federal Executive Department is responsible for international relations of the U.S., and they're saying that it's okay to work with Bulgaria. So I encourage you to take your next outsourcing venture to Bulgaria.
Thank you, Christopher. As Christopher mentions, Bulgaria does have its many challenges. However, there's a growth in ITO companies in Bulgaria. As the chart shows, in the last 10 years, IT companies have grown by 600%. The previous chart also shows the number of employees is increasing. However, in terms of numeric region, this diagram shows better, and that in 2010, the number of employees in outsourcing was 11,917. In 2011, it was 15,536. In 2012, the number of employees were 17,730. In 2013, it was 20,003. In 2014, it was 28,764. And in 2015, it reached 31,000. That amounts to a staggering growth rate of 19.9% between the years 2010 and 2015. This chart showed that by 2020, the growth of employment in outsourcing expected to double from 30,000 to 60,000 plus. Projections for ITO growth in Bulgaria is stated best by the author of Bulgaria Outsourcing Destination Guide. And he says, in the years to come, the emphasis in Bulgarian outsourcing industry will fall on development of high value added IT outsourcing services and to smaller extent on business process outsourcing, especially call centers. This growth will be so due to the dynamic development of cloud computing technologies in Bulgaria. Katiana talked a little bit about the history of Bulgaria and about the overview. Chris mostly mentioned the challenges that is facing Bulgaria, and Bulgaria does have its challenges. However, as I've mentioned, I've shown you that IT companies are growing in Bulgaria, and so also is the number of employees increasing in IT companies. So the next time you think about outsourcing IT, look no further than Bulgaria.